What's up everybody, another beautiful day in Azeroth, and today we'll be taking a look at the Vortex Pinnacle. What year is this? Which is part of the Dragonflight Season 2 dungeon pool for M+. Spoilers, it's been reworked since Kata. Now I'll be going over notable trash, interrupts, and boss mechanics. Now let me know what y'all think of these dungeon guides in the comments. Want me to make more quick guides like this, or perhaps more in-depth stuff? Now first of all, after defeating the first boss you unlock a Vortex skip, which is to the left of the entrance as you go in. After second boss you unlock another one which is on the right side. These will take you back to the aforementioned bosses, so it's great if you happen to wipe. But that'll never happen, right? Notable trash before first boss. The lurking tempests along the path to the first boss will attack players if no one is looking at them. Boo? So make sure someone is actually looking at them. And the wild vortex mobs, make sure to interrupt their cyclone cast. Now for the first boss. Boss is surrounded by 8 cyclones which will alternate between being along the outer edge of the room or right around the boss. When they're around boss, group will take ticking damage until the cyclones move back out. Touching a cyclone deals a ton of damage and reduces your haste as well as movement speed by 30%, so you'll actually lose damage if you don't do mechanics. So don't come tell me you're a pattern and stand in this. And the cyclones will also fire off electro balls that swarm the area. They also deal damage and reduce haste by 30%, so again, no touchy the balls. There will also be lurking tempest ads that spawns around the room. And again, they will attack players if no one is looking at them, so you need to constantly face towards them to make sure they stay. Lastly, do make sure to interrupt boss lightning bolt. Moving on, notable trash before second boss. The Empyrean assassins, make sure to interrupt their vapor form. It reduces damage taken by 90%. And you want to tank the young storm dragon near their healing circle so players can stand in it as it does massive AoE damage. Just make sure the dragon isn't in it. There's also more wild vortex ads, interrupt cyclone. And then for the second boss, throughout the fight winds will be blowing. If you move against the wind, you take damage and lose 30% haste, move with it, and it gives you 30% haste instead. And boss will periodically change the direction of the wind, so always reposition yourself so you have the upwind buff and the wind in your back. Now all over the area there will be twisters moving around. They deal damage and knock you up into the air. And when boss casts downburst, he will spawn an expanding ring, and you use the twisters to get knocked over the rings. Otherwise, you'll take a ton of damage and get silenced for 5 seconds. You also don't want to get hit by his frontal chilling breath. Moving on, notable trash before the last boss. You have the Temple Adept interrupt their greater heal, because it heals. Ministers of Air. Players targeted by Lightning Lash needs to move into the triangle grounding zone, and it will absorb all spells. This also works on the mobs, so do not tank them in this field or they will absorb all spells. Screw you and your chaos bolts. Now for the last boss. Azad, Caliph of the Zephyrs. Players targeted by Chain Lightning needs to be 8 yards away from other players or it arcs. Whenever there's a Skyfall Nova ad, prio nuking it down. They do a ton of damage to everyone and you'll eventually have multiple up if you ignore them. When boss casts Static Cling, you need to jump right before the cast is finished. Any player touching the ground has their movement speed reduced by a measly 90%. So not that much. Boss will also spawn a unstable grounding field triangle somewhere in the room, followed by Supremacy of the Storm. You want to make sure to be inside the grounding field when this cast goes off, or you die. And this overlaps with Static Cling, so if you do not jump, you will have to get to the safe zone whilst being 90% slower. Fun. Wait for me. And yeah, that's it for the Vortex Pinnacle. Let me know what y'all think of these bite-sized dungeon guides in the comments, and if you'd like to see more dungeon guides in the future. Don't forget the usual stuff, comment, like, subscribe, and make sure to ring that notification bell. There are tons of guides coming out in 10.1. If you want to help support my work, check out my Patreon. As a patron, you get access to the Stanky Gaming Discord. You can also get shoutouts and videos, coaching, among other things. I also stream progression and testing on Twitch, Stanky Gaming. Feel free to hop on by and spam me with questions. I love answering them. And yeah, thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.